Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of the Blue Collar DM, the channel dedicated to breaking down barriers for new players and dungeon masters alike. As always, my name is Howard, and today we're going to be breaking down the Ranger for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. Your stereotypical Legolas or Robin Hood style character that you see in a lot of TV shows and movies. Without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so we're talking about the Ranger today. Now the Ranger is a very interesting character class because not only is it a martial character class, kind of like our fighter, it gets spellcasting like the Paladin, but it's much more of a nature-based spellcasting like the Druid. Now, in order to break down this character the right way, we're actually going to go over to the computer and break down a level 1 character sheet for our new players who are new to the game and kind of want to get a good taste of what they're going to get when they sit down at the table for the first time. And then we're going to come back here and we're going to actually break down the rest of the character from level 2 all the way up to level 20, so that we have a good comprehensive breakdown of the Ranger for you guys. Now, if you have any questions about the Ranger or anything else Dungeons & Dragons in general as I'm going through this, make sure you leave a comment down here in the comment section below. I'll be sure to answer those as best I can. Also, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell for the channel because there's a pretty good chance I'm going to answer those questions down there in a future video. Without further ado, let's go over to the computer. Alright, so now that we're over here at the computer, we can go over that level 1 character sheet that we were talking about. So we have Sylvia here. She is a Ranger, level 1, and she is a human. Now, the reason why we picked human is because, like in other videos that we've had on the channel, I want to go with something that's very simple and easy for everyone to understand. I don't want people to get confused between what is a race trait and what's a class feature. So other races give you a bunch of different really cool abilities and skills, but the base human just gives you +1 to all your ability scores. So it just makes our lives easier explaining the character in this way. So we went with +1 with all these ability scores here. Now, we did use the standard array, which is the use of the scores 15, 14, 13, 12, 10, and 8, and distributing them, if I can talk, amongst all these ability scores here. And then because we're a human, we're going to add 1. So that's why the stats are the way they are. And I put a 16 in dexterity because I want that +3 modifier, because that's just the most beneficial for our Ranger here at the beginning. So we're going to come down here. We're actually going to first calculate our hit points. So as a Ranger, we do get a D10 hit die. So we'll put that there. And we do get 1 hit dice. So when we do that, then we then come here and figure out our hit point maximum. I can really talk well today, as you can see. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the maximum number that we get on this D10 hit die, and then we're going to add our Constitution modifier, which we'll find right over here. And we're going to add that to then create what we get, and that's going to be 12 hit points. So we take that 10 on the hit die, add 2, we get 12 hit points. Now, if we were to then level up, what we would do is we would roll that D10 hit die, and then we would add the 2 from the Constitution, and then that would give us our score. So say we rolled a 5 plus 7, or plus 2, excuse me, makes 7. 7 plus 12 is 19. So that's where we get that as we level up and continue on. Now, we're going to then go to proficiencies. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to figure out our saving throws. So proficiency bonus at level 1 is going to be +2. So that's something to keep in mind as we're going through this. And we're going to be proficient in strength and dexterity saves as Rangers. So this -1 is now going to be a +1. And this dexterity is now going to be a +5. So that's why it is the way it is. Now we're going to come down here and we're going to figure out some of our skill proficiencies. Now, for skills, we were able to pick 3 between the scores: animal handling, athletics, insight, investigation, nature, perception, stealth, and survival. We're going to go with nature, perception, and survival. So nature, perception, survival. And we're going to add +2 to all these. So the nature becomes a +3. Our perception becomes a +4. And our survival also becomes a +4. Then we're going to come down here and we're going to talk about our proficiencies in languages. So actually, before I do that, we're going to talk passive perception. So passive perception is a measure that DMs use in order to calculate whether or not passively you would perceive something happening on the gaming table, or in the scenario that you're in. So we're going to take our perception score here of +4, and then we're going to add 10. And the reason why we do that is because 10 is the average roll on a D20 die. Or it's 10.5, round down to 10. And then we're going to add our score. So 10 plus 4 is 14. Now let's talk about our proficiency. So we're going to get proficiency in a couple of things. We're going to get, we're first going to get light and medium armor. I can really type today. And then we're also going to get simple and martial weapons. we're also going to get shields, so I'll come back up here and put shields, so that way we don't miss that. And then for tools, we don't get any tools, so I'll just put tools equals none. Simple enough. All right, so then next we're gonna get to pick our equipment. So first thing we get is to choose is between scale mail or leather armor. I'm gonna pick leather armor just because scale mail, while better, it will cause us to have disadvantage on stealth checks, and I don't want that. I want us to be very good at sneaking up on things as a ranger, being able to sneak up on anything we're hunting or anything like that. So leather armor is gonna be the way to go for me. And then we're going to be able to pick between 2 short swords or 2 simple weapons. I'm going to pick 2 short swords just because, for the sake of this video, it makes it easier. But because we're going to have 2 short swords, we could actually dual wield them if we wanted to. So that's something that to keep in mind as we're going forward. And then we're also going to get a longbow and 20 arrows. And then we're going to be able to pick between a Dungeoneer's pack or an Explorer's pack. I'm just going to pick Dungeoneer's pack because I think it sounds cool, but you can pick whatever you want. They have different things in them, and you can check online. I believe D&D Beyond might have that there. If not, there are other resources you can use to figure out what exactly is in the packs. They usually include torches and stuff like that, but there's some weird stuff in each one of them for different purposes. All right, and then let's see here. So we're gonna go through here and figure out our armor class now. So to figure out armor class, it's gonna come from our leather armor. So typically with no armor, our armor class is calculated based on 10 plus our dexterity modifier. But with leather armor, we actually get to make that number 11 plus our dexterity modifier. So our armor class at first level is gonna be 14, which isn't too bad considering that we're wearing one of the lightest, kind of cheapest armors in the game, basically. Our initiative is going to be a +3, and that's going to come from our dexterity bonus as well. And then our speed is going to be 30 feet because humans move 30 feet. And then we're going to come down here, and this is where we're going to put our short swords and our longbow. So I'm going to put short sword here. I'll even put ×2. It probably won't fit on the screen, but it's good for me to know. Our attack bonus is going to be a +5. And the reason why our attack bonus is a +5 is because we're actually taking our proficiency bonus here and adding our attack stat. Now, what's interesting about short swords is that they are a finesse weapon, so we are actually allowed to use our dexterity modifier. Under normal circumstances for a lot of weapons, you do have to use your strength modifier, but because we are using a finesse weapon, a weapon with the finesse trait, it's very specific, we're actually able to use this +3 over here. And then our damage is going to be, if I can find it here in my notes, 1d6 piercing damage, or 1d6 +3 piercing damage. And that +3, again, comes from our attack stat here. So, easy enough. And then we're going to add our longbow here. Now, most ranged weapons use our dexterity modifier for our attack bonus, so we're already good there. We don't have to worry about the finesse trait or anything like that. And we're going to be doing 1d8 +3 piercing damage. But we're also going to have a range. So our short range is going to be 150, and our long range is going to be 600. And this is measured in feet. And basically what that means is that if we're firing at some enemy within 150 feet of us, we're going to roll normally. So we're going to roll 1d20, add our attack bonus over here, and we're going to see if we hit. Now, if we're shooting something beyond 150 feet but less than 600 feet, we're going to roll a disadvantage. So we're going to take that same roll of a d20, we're going to roll another one. So we roll 2 d20s, take whatever roll is the lowest, and then we're going to add our attack bonus and see if we hit. So it's a little bit different. It's harder to hit things that are further away outside of our long range, but I mean, if we're going to be shooting beyond that, we're not going to hit anything. But 150 feet is a very long distance in D&D. Most people or most creatures aren't going to see you or aren't going to be aware of your presence from 150 feet away, generally. So it's going to be kind of redundant, but I mean, you never know. We might be trying to hit something and snipe something from really far away, so there is always that. And then also at level 1, let's talk about some of our abilities over here. At level 1, we're going to get a favored enemy, so I'll put in here favored enemy. And what this means is that we're actually going to be able to choose from the list of aberrations, beasts, celestials, constructs, dragons, elementals, fae, fiends, giants, monstrosities, oozes, plants, or undead. Now we get to choose one of these particular enemies, and they get to be our favorite one. So I'm going to pick monstrosities because it just seems like a fun thing to pick. And basically what happens is that we're going to have advantage on wisdom, survival checks. So survival checks, not to get everyone confused, to actually be able to track our enemy, so be able to follow footprints or anything like that, and on our intelligence checks to recall information about them too. So advantage int to recall. So basically, if we're going to track them or try to find them and try to hunt them down, we're going to have advantage on those checks to go ahead and track them. And then we're also going to have advantage on our intelligence checks to remember any specific information like weaknesses or anything like that that could be relevant to our favorite enemy. At level 1, we're also going to get Natural Explorer. So I'll type that in here, Natural Explorer. And I'm going to pick Mountain. And basically, what we get to do is we get to pick from the list of, I have to look down here because it's a long list, Arctic, Coast, Desert, Forest, Grassland, Mountain, Swamp, or Underdark. We pick one of these particular types of environments, and we're going to have a double proficiency. So we're going to times 2 proficiency. So at level 1, that's going to be a +4. If I can get my keyboard to work. And we're going to double our proficiency bonus for any skill checks that are intelligence or wisdom in nature to basically do anything within these terrains. So say if we're trying to perceive the environment around us, we're actually, instead of having a +4 to our perception, it's going to be a +6 because we're going to add an extra 2 for our proficiency in order to be able to notice things in the environment. Or say we have to track something, again, +6. So we'll be able to track better in this mountain environment, which is going to be really helpful. Also, if we're traveling in this terrain, any difficult terrain related to this particular one that we pick isn't going to slow our travel. So under normal circumstances, if we were in what was considered rough terrain, our distance traveled would be half of what it normally could be. But because we're traveling in our favorite terrain, our group will be able to traverse as normal. And if we're engaged in any other activities while we're traveling, like say if we're foraging or navigating or trying to remain alert of danger or something like that, or move stealthily, we'll do so at a normal pace. Where normally if we did that, we'd move at a half pace. Again, same thing if we were going through difficult terrain, for example. And then we're also going to get another favored terrain at level 6 and level 10, which also, before I forget, we also get another favored enemy at 6 and 14 up here. So a lot of different things that kind of progress as we level up with this level 1 ranger as we're going forward. And also, whenever we're tracking creatures or anything like that, we're going to actually learn the exact number and sizes and how long ago they passed through the area. So we'll be able to tell if, like, say, maybe if a giant walked through the mountain area and how many were there and which way were they going. We'll be able to kind of figure that out a lot better than we normally would. So this is basically going to be it for our level 1 ranger. So we got everything here we need. We do need a background, and I did cover backgrounds briefly in a character creation video, which I'll leave a link up here. But basically, we do have to pick a background before we play, but I don't want you guys to get confused by what the background gives you and what the class gives you. So that's why we went with this. So we have a pretty good, we're decent armor class. We got some good amount of hit points. We got some good attacks, and we're ready to go. So now we're going to get off the computer and we're going to cover the rest of the ranger. I'll see you guys over there. All right, so let's talk about the rest of the ranger. Now, we're going to get a lot of really cool, interesting things with the ranger as we move on from level 1. So at level 2, we're actually going to pick a fighting style. We're going to be able to pick from archery, dueling, defense, and 2-weapon fighting. Archery is going to give us a +2 bonus to our attack and damage rolls with ranged weapons, so having that longbow is going to be really good in that situation. Defense is going to give us a +1 bonus to AC if we're wearing armor. Dueling is going to give us a +2 to damage rolls while holding a weapon in one hand and nothing else in the other hand, or a shield. We can hold a shield, but we can't hold 2 weapons at the same time. So if we pick dueling, we'll get +2 to damage rolls when we're wielding just the one weapon. And then 2-weapon fighting, we're going to be able to add our ability modifier to the damage for the second attack. So under normal circumstances, if you bonus action attack because you're dual wielding, you're not going to be able to add your attack stat to that damage roll, but with 2-weapon fighting, not dual wielding, with 2-weapon fighting, you'll be able to do that, which is really nice. We're also going to get spellcasting at level 2, and page 90 in the player's handbook, which is this guy right here, is going to actually show you a table that's going to determine how many spell slots you have, and it's going to be kind of give you a lot of information about that. We're going to regain these spell slots after we finish a long rest, and at level 2, we're going to learn 2 spells from the Ranger spell list, which are both going to be level 1 spells. The Ranger table also shows how many spells you know as you level up, so again, the table in that book is going to be really important for you guys. The spells known for you have to be for a spell level you can cast, so you can't prep like an 8th level spell when you don't have 8 level spell slots. You can't do that, but if you have level 1 spells, you can prepare level 1. If you have level 1 spell slots, you can prepare level 1 spells. If you have level 2, you can prepare level 2 spells, etc., etc. Wisdom is going to be our spellcasting ability modifier, so our spell attack bonus is going to be equal to our proficiency bonus plus our wisdom modifier. Our spell save DC is going to then be calculated based on 8 plus our proficiency bonus and our wisdom modifier. So pretty simple. At level 3, we're actually going to pick our ranger archetype or subclass, basically. We're going to be able to pick from the player's handbook. We can pick Beastmaster or Hunter. We're actually going to cover both of them at the end of the video, and I'm going to leave some links down below so you can jump to those as we're going through if you want to say look at Beastmaster as opposed to Hunter, or if you have any other specific reasons you want to jump around, I'll leave some links down there. We're also going to get Primeval Awareness at this level 3, and what it's basically going to do is it's going to allow us to expend a spell slot to basically focus on the region around us and be more aware. So for a minute per spell slot spent, so if we spent a level 2 spell slot, we'd have 2 minutes of this Primeval Awareness. We can actually sense the following types of creatures that are present within a mile or within 6 miles if it's in our favorite terrain. So we're going to be able to sense aberrations, celestials, dragons, elementals, fae, fiends, and undead. This feature doesn't reveal the location or the number of them, but it will reveal if there's any around us. So kind of similar, but it does pair a lot with our favorite terrain, except for the fact that with our favorite terrain, we'll be able to tell how many have passed through an area. If, say, we use our Primeval Awareness to figure out, are there any giants around? Yes, there are. Okay, let's see if we can find them. Oh, we found some tracks. We'll know how many there are. So these do mesh pretty well if you're doing and using these skills the right way. At levels 4, 8, 12, 16, and 19, we're going to get ability score improvements. So ability score improvements, you basically can add 2 points to any one ability score, or you can add 1 point to any 2 ability scores. So basically we get a little bit of flexibility there. You can also take a feat at these levels. Feats are optional rules that your DM can use if they choose to. So talk to your DM first before you go ahead and pick a feat. Feats will give you some different abilities and different skills that you can add to your character to make them kind of unique, but depending on your table, you may not be able to use them. But ability scores and improving those are going to be really helpful because your attack bonuses are going to go up, your spell save DCs are going to go up, your skills are going to go up. It's going to be helpful. So kind of think about that as you're going through it. At level 5, we're going to get extra attack, and basically what that means is that if we use the attack action on our turn, we can actually attack twice with that attack action. So if we're a 2-weapon fighting, short sword wielding kind of person, we can actually attack 3 times because we'll use that bonus action to attack for that 3rd time. So it's pretty cool. At level 8, we're actually going to get land stride, so we're going to be able to move through non-magical difficult terrain with no extra movement. So basically we're not going to be hindered, even if it's not our favorite terrain, we're not going to be hindered by it. We can actually then also pass through non-magical plants without being slowed down by them and without taking any damage if they have thorns, spines, or any kind of hazards like that. And we're going to have advantage on saving throws against plants that are magically created or manipulated to impede movement, like some of those plants that are made by the Entangle spell that druids get. And if you want any more information about druids, I'll leave a link up there as well. At level 10, we're going to get hide in plain sight. And we're going to be able to spend 1 minute creating camouflage for ourselves. We have to have access to some mud or dirt or some sort of plants or soot or something along those lines in order to be able to use this. And we're going to be able to basically add +10 to any stealth checks that we make, provided that we, go press up against a solid surface, like a tree or a wall, for example. And as long as we don't move. Now, if we do move or we take an action, we do have to use our camouflage again and redo it to, find that kind of same source of material and stuff like that and a new place to stand against in order to gain the benefit again. At level 14, we're actually going to get the ability to called Vanish, and basically we can hide as a bonus action on our turns, which is very similar to what the rogues can do, and I'll leave a link to rogues up there as well. We can't be tracked by non-magical means unless we leave a trail, unless we choose to leave a trail. So if, say, we wanted to leave a trail for our friends to find, we could do that if we wanted to, but otherwise we're not going to leave a trail, which is kind of really nice. At level 18, we're going to get Feral Senses. So when we attack a creature that we can't see, the inability to not see that a creature is not going to impose disadvantage on the attack roll. And we're going to have awareness of the locations of invisible creatures within 30 feet of us, provided the creature isn't hidden from us and we're also not blinded or deafened. So if the creature's invisible and hiding behind an object, we're not going to be able to know. But if they're in open air, basically, and they're within 30 feet and they're invisible, we'll still know where they are and we'll still be able to attack them. And we're not going to do so at disadvantage, which is really good. And then at level 20, we're going to get Foe Slayer. So on each of our turns, we can actually add our Wisdom modifier to an attack roll or damage roll of an attack we make against one of our favorite enemies, which we get to pick 3 of them by the time we get to level 20. We can choose this feature before or after the roll, but before the effects of the roll are applied, so like our attack bonus or something like that. So something to keep in mind. All right, so that was everything that the base level ranger gets. So now let's talk about the hunter. So the hunter is one of the two archetypes we could have picked at level 3. And at level 3, we're going to be able to choose between 3 different abilities to pick from. We got to pick one of these, but we can pick either Colossus Slayer, Giant Killer, or Horde Breaker with this hunter subclass. If we pick Colossus Slayer, whenever we hit a creature with a weapon attack, the creature is going to take an extra d8 damage if it's below its HP maximum, and we can do this once per turn. So once we get extra attack, or if we're attacking with our bonus action, if we're wielding 2 weapons at the same time, we're not going to get this bonus to the second attack if we hit again, for example. If we pick Giant Killer, we're actually going to get the ability to, basically, whenever a large or larger creature within 5 feet of us hits or misses us with an attack, we can then use our reaction to attack the creature immediately after they attack us, provided we can see it. So that's going to be really helpful. So say if we're fighting a giant, if it hits us or if it tries to hit us and it misses, we're going to be able to strike right back at them, which is going to be really good. We're also going to be able to pick Horde Breaker. So one time on each of our turns when we make a weapon attack, we can make another attack with the same weapon against another creature within 5 feet of the original target that is also within range of our weapon. So that's going to be really helpful. Let's say if we're, we're shooting at a horde of skeletons or something like that, and we hit one of them, we're going to be able to take an attack against another creature within 5 feet of that target. So we're going to be able to hit a couple of creatures with the same attack, which is going to be really nice. But this is only going to work once. So it's going to be helpful in certain situations, but maybe not so helpful in others. So again, we got to pick between Colossus Slayer, Giant Killer, or Horde Breaker. All have their benefits, but it's your character. Go ahead and pick whichever one you want. At level 7, we're going to get Defensive Tactics, and again, we're going to be able to pick between 3 different options. We're going to be able to pick from Escape the Horde, Multi-Attack Defense, and Steel Will. Escape the Horde is going to make it so opportunity attacks against us are going to be at disadvantage, so if we have to run away, we're not going to be getting hit, or we're going to be less likely to be hit because they're going to have to roll those 2d20s and take the lowest roll and see if they hit. Multi-attack defense is actually going to, basically, it's whenever a creature hits us with an attack, we're going to get a +4 bonus to our AC for all subsequent attacks made by that creature for the rest of the turn. So we're going to be less likely to be hit after that first attack hits us. So could be helpful. It's very specific, but could be helpful depending on what you're playing in your game. And then Steel Will is going to give us advantage on all saving throws against being frightened. So that's going to be helpful too. So we got to pick one of these 3, but again, we're going to be able to pick 3 of these kind of defensive-minded or defensive tactics at level 7. At level 11, we're going to be able to pick between... So hunters get a lot of choices, basically, is what I'm going to tell you. Not only do you get to pick hunter, but then you also get to pick 3 different things at each one of these little ability pickups. So at level 11, we're going to be able to pick a multi-attack ability. So we're either going to get to pick Volley or Whirlwind attack, so we get to pick 2. Volley is basically whenever we use an action to make a range attack against any number of creatures within 10 feet of a point we can see, we can actually hit all of those creatures. So if we pick a spot on the map and let's say there's 4 creatures within 10 feet of each other, we can then attack each one and make a separate attack roll for each one, provided we have ammo for each target. So we have to have enough arrows to hit all of them, but we're going to be able to make a separate attack roll. So we might be able to hit 4, 5, 6 creatures all at once, which is going to be really good. Whirlwind attack is basically anytime we use an action to make a whirlwind attack against any number of creatures within 5 feet of us, we can make another attack roll for each one. So say if we're surrounded, we can actually do almost like a Legend of Zelda Link whirlwind attack and hit all of them, which is really cool. At level 15, we're going to be able to pick between 3 different options for Superior Hunter's Defense. We can pick either Evasion, Stand Against the Tide, or Uncanny Dodge. Now, Evasion and Uncanny Dodge work very similar to the Rogue abilities that are named of the same. So, and if I haven't already, I'll leave a link to the Rogue up here somewhere. Evasion, basically, whenever we're subjected to make a Dexterity save in order to avoid half damage from, like, say, a breath weapon attack from a dragon or some sort of a fireball spell or something like that. If that happens, we're actually only going to take half damage on a failed save, and we're going to take no damage if we succeed, which is going to be really helpful. Very good defensive, very superior defensive ability. Stand Against the Tide is basically whenever a hostile creature misses us with an attack, we can use our reaction to force the creature to then repeat the same attack against another creature other than ourselves of our choice. So we can make something attack one of their buddies instead of one of ours or ourselves, so which is really cool. And then Uncanny Dodge, if an attack hits us, we're going to be able to use our reaction to take half damage, so that's really cool as well. All right, so that was the Hunter, so let's talk about the Beastmaster. So the Beastmaster subclass is actually going to give us a Ranger companion. So follow me along with this because there's a few notes. It's a little bit of a complicated kind of ability that we get, but it's really cool. So at level 3, we're going to get a beast companion that accompanies us in all of our adventures. We can pick any beast with a CR rating or a challenge rating, which is a measure of how strong a creature is, of 1/4 or 1/4 or lower. We're going to add our proficiency bonus to the creature's armor class, attack rolls, and damage rolls, as well as saving throws and skills that they're already proficient in. And their HP maximum is going to equal the HP number in their stat block or 4 times their ranger level, whichever is higher. And it can also spend hit dice to regain its HP. So very similar. Basically, it kind of acts as just basically a little partner in crime. So you could have like a bear companion or something like that, or depending on what you can pick. So you're going to be able to actually have a little cool companion running around with you, and it's going to be kind of helpful, and it can, do some things for you if you need it to kind of like, sniff out. Let's say it's a wolf and you want to see if you can track something, you'll be able to kind of like find things a little bit easier, which is really cool. Now, it's going to obey your commands as best it can, and it's going to take its turn on our initiative. It can't take any actions unless we command it to. We can verbally command it to move, which requires no action by us, and we can use our action to command it to take the attack, dash, disengage, dodge, or help actions. Once we have extra attack ourselves as a ranger, we can make a weapon attack ourselves when we command the beast to make an attack as well. So the beast attack is going to take place of our attacks if we choose to have the beast attack before we get extra attack, but once we get extra attack, we're going to be able to attack, and our beast is going to be able to attack. So we could be in 2 different places at the same time and be attacking 2 different creatures. So it's very helpful for some battlefield control and that kind of thing, so it's going to be really helpful. Now, if we're incapacitated or absent, though, our beast is going to act on its own. It's going to focus on trying to protecting itself or you, depending on what is more of the importance here. And the beast doesn't require commands from us to use its reaction, like say if it's going to use an opportunity attack, for example. Now, traveling through our favorite terrain with the beast and ourselves is going to allow us to still move at a stealthy pace, and that stealthy pace is going to be normal. So we're not going to have any difficulty moving with our beast through our favorite terrain if we're trying to move stealthily. And if the beast unfortunately dies at some point along your adventure, which would be really sad, you can attain a new companion by spending 8 hours magically bonding with a new non-hostile beast that meets the same requirements of 1/4 or lower and those kind of requirements. So hopefully that doesn't happen, but it can happen in your game, so just keep that in mind. At level 7, we're going to get exceptional training, and what that's going to do is on our turns, when our beast does an attack, it's going to be able to use, we're going to be able to use a bonus action to command it to take the dash, dodge, disengage, or help action, which is going to be helpful because then we'll be able to protect our beast, especially if we're going to be attacking twice with our multi-attack. At level 11, when we command the beast to take the attack action, it can take 2 attacks, or it can use the multi-attack action if it has it in its stat block already. So when we first get this beast, if it has multi-attack, it's not going to be able to use it until level 11. So something to keep in mind when you're picking your beast is that if it has multiple attacks, it's only going to really be able to use one of them until it gets to this level 11 level as you're progressing through. And then at level 15, we're going to get shared spells. So whenever we cast a spell, or whenever we cast a spell, that's correct. Whenever we cast a spell that is going to target ourselves, it's also going to affect our beast companion too, as long as they're within 30 feet of us. So let's say we use Fox's Cunning or something like that. It's going to work on us and it's going to work on our beast, which is going to be really helpful. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to cover the Beastmaster, and that's going to actually finish up our discussion about the Ranger. I know there's a lot of information. We did cover all of the subclasses this time, which we normally don't do, mainly because I've learned a little bit more about YouTube, and now we can actually timestamp things and skip ahead if you want to, but also because there's only 2 subclasses to go through, and I figured it would be good to kind of give you a good taste of both of them. Now, if you have any questions about anything we covered today or anything else Dungeons & Dragons, make sure you leave a comment down there in the comment section below. Also subscribe and hit that notification bell so that way you can be notified when a future video comes out. I hope you guys learned some things about Rangers, and until next time, I'll see you all soon.